Alright, here is a follow-up video to this transistor radio. This is the Philips 90RL050 or the 90RL050 from 1976. Now, I'm going to move forward with replacing the transistors on this radio because I have the schematic pulled up here, and there's the voltages I'm supposed to be measuring. TS1, that is the first transistor by the RF amplifier. So we're gonna drag the schematic over there. Alright, that's this transmitter right here. It's TS1. So these transistors that I'm measuring in this transistor radio, I'm getting really weird readings off of them, like they're not conducting. And so I did a little heat up test where I took the tip of my soldering iron. And I just touched the heads of the transistors, and for a couple seconds, and now I lost AM because AM used to work. Now, in the schematic, I'm going to zoom out here. So, down here is your AM circuit, and this is your AM FM switch right here. And over here, here's your FM RF amplifier, and this is where the mixer and oscillator are. And here's your IF stages. So, the AM jumps through and runs through these IF stages before it gets to the audio amplifier, and the FM shares these same transistors that the AM shares too. So the AM from here went through here and out the audio amplifier, and it worked. It picked up some stations, but the FM was really quiet. I took the tip of my soldering iron and I touched the tops of the transistors for a couple seconds each just to warm them up and see if that would bring them back to life. It was the opposite result. Now I don't have AM. AM is not making its way through to the audio amplifier. The audio amplifier never messed with these transistors. It still works fine. The audio amplifier is not the issue here. So I believe I just killed these transistors just by touching the transistors with my soldering iron. So here's the original transistors. This is the transistor from the RF amplifier that I just pulled out of. I just started replacing the transistors. This one is measuring really weird on my multimeter. I don't have a transistor tester, but I'm just using a diode tester, and yeah, I just don't even want to say that those transistors are acting weird. Now I know they're not diodes, but I think there really is something wrong with these transistors, because the voltages that I'm getting here, let me see about zooming in on down here, test point 1 on the base, 3.42 volts, on the collector 4.1 volts. They didn't even bother including the emitter voltages. I think I was measuring like 1.5 and 2 volts on the base and collector. I can't remember which one was which, and I was measuring 6 volts on the emitter. Or I could be wrong. I think I was measuring 6 volts on the collector. I know for sure on TS3, 4, 5, 6, these test points here on the collector, I was measuring 6 volts. But the voltages were, I was not getting 0.7 on the emitter or 0.15. I was getting like 2 volts. I don't know what was going on with these transistors. So I'm just going to move forward with replacing them and seeing if this radio comes back to life. By the way, I'm using the KSP 10BUs as someone recommended in the comments, as that was a really good alternative for these ED1502s. So, see if I can get in the light. Yeah, this is the ED1502E. And the pinout, there's a flat edge on the transistor. So right here, we're looking at the bottom of the transistor here. Now this is not the top. The flat edge, pin 1 is the emitter, pin 2 is the base, pin 3 is the collector for the 1502. So the emitter is closest to the flat edge, and the collector is farthest from it. Now on the the KSP10, the collector is still on pin 3, however 2 is the emitter and 1 is the base, so I have to cross them. But it wasn't too bad, it just all depends on how you orientate the transistor, so I never really had to cross the legs. I oriented the transistor in a way where there's pin 3 on the left going to collector, the middle pin is going to the emitter where the ED1502 used to connect, and pin 1 is the base, connecting where the base goes. Oh, I'm sorry, I got that wrong. That one on the left is the base. That's pin 1, because the flat edge, when you're looking at the transistor from the flat side, the one on the left is pin 1. Pin 2 in the middle is the emitter, and pin 3 on the right is the collector, and yep, I got that correct. So I have to do that for the rest of the transistors. So there's one transistor replaced there. Here's this one. These two hiding down here, and these two over here. So this is the mixer and oscillator right here. This is your RF amplifier, mixer and oscillator, and this is where IF stage is. This is your ratio detector over here. Fun stuff. Alright, so yeah, I need to zoom out. I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm having fun with the repairing vintage electronics here. So up here, there's your ratio detector. There's your 1 kilo ohm and 10 kilo ohm resistors, followed by the 2 diodes. That's where I showed right here. This is where your ratio detector is. Oh, that's just a little cover for the switch there. So there's your resistors and your diodes. I don't know why I'm talking about that. That's not the important part. I'm sorry, guys. So I'm going to move forward with replacing these transistors, because these are the ones right here in this area that I touched my soldering iron to for just a couple seconds. And yeah, now AM is not able to make its way through. So definitely I know I have a fault here on these transistors. But I'm replacing all the 1502s. Probably that one lonely 1502 in the AM section. Yeah, it may not need replaced, but I'm going to replace it anyways. And one of the comments says that the wax in the oscillators become resistive and change the oscillator frequency. I'm doing one thing at a time. I got all the time in the world to tinker with this radio, so I've already replaced the capacitors, and I'll move forward with replacing the transistors. And if I still have issues, well, I know I'm definitely going to be calibrating the super heterodyne, to these new transistors. I know that it's going to throw off the oscillator and probably the ratio detector, and yeah, I really need an oscilloscope, but I'll take my time with this radio. It may not be perfect after these transistors being replaced, but one little step at a time. I don't know why I've grown such a sentimental attachment to this little thrift store find that I got for free. Just sitting here twisting the wires up. Alright, I'll let y'all know how it goes.